Hi, welcome to the last module. In this module, there's a video of an overview of chapter 10 and then a preview lecture of chapter 11. So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 10. Chapter 10 focuses on the assessment of young children with special needs and involves a number of stages. The first stage begins with early identification and is associated with child find, public awareness, and screening procedures. Here, the issue of screening is important to understand in that it can happen on a grand scale, for example, mass screenings, or on a smaller, more targeted scale where specific demographics are targeted, for example, selective screening. There is a host of common prenatal screening procedures that can be used to identify a variety of disorders. These include such procedures as amniocentesis, chorionic villus sampling, and alpha-fetoprotein test. Public awareness through programs like Child Find and legislation such as No Child Left Behind generally predates a screening. Once a child has been identified as having a developmental problem, whether it occurs via prenatal screening or early childhood screening, stage 2 ensures, whereas the comprehensive evaluation occurs. Taking into consideration past medical history and familial history, comprehensive evaluations assist in describing strengths and needs and should aid in selecting specific treatment options. These comprehensive evaluations should determine the level and patterns of abilities in targeted key domains, including cognitive, motor, communication, social and play, and self-care and adaptive skills. Once these data are collected and an intervention plan is developed, then stage 4 begins. Stage 4 activities should be designated to reassess the current developmental levels of the child and to monitor progress related to the developmental goals established by the early intervention team and the family. There are 3 primary team models that exist to ensure that a child receives comprehensive assessment. First is the multidisciplinary team, in which a team of doctors and professionals work independently from each other. While the lack of communication can yield redundant information or conflicting findings, it is far easier to coordinate treatment schedules, and in many instances, a clinical coordinator is assigned. The second is a variant of the multidisciplinary team called the interdisciplinary team. The main difference is that there's a greater level of communication between professionals in that data are discussed prior to delineating a child's functioning. This permits the differences to be discussed in data and for information to be presented to the family in a more unified, efficient, and hopefully clearer fashion. Interdisciplinary team assessments typically have an assigned coordinator and it can involve the family in the professionals' discussions. The third model is the transdisciplinary team. This model allows the assessment team to work closely together by having key assessors. You may have psychologists, occupational therapists, speech and language therapists involved, and they would be in the same room conducting their evaluations collaboratively and simultaneously. This type of model can be extremely efficient given the limited attention span of young children with special needs and can facilitate communication between professionals, but some children fail to respond in the arena assessment scenario. Needless to say, each one of these models provides a different set of assessment strategies for describing the strengths and the needs of young children with special needs, and the involvement of the family will vary as well. Within each of these assessment models, a plethora of specific assessment strategies exist. These strategies vary from formal to informal assessment mechanisms and include measures that are standardized, such as the Bailey scales of infant development, to less formal measures, such as curriculum-based and portfolio-based assessments. There are also dynamic assessment strategies, a type of authentic assessment of development wherein mediated learning experiences are utilized to determine functioning. Here, some version of a test, intervene, retest format is utilized to capture the zone of proximal development. Like variations on the team of professionals, each type of assessment has its advantages and its disadvantages. The early intervention and clinician should work together to determine the best approach given the level and pattern of functioning of a young child with special needs. Regardless of the approach or model selected, ensuring that key psychometric standards are satisfied will be critical. Such standards include reliability, treatment utility, social validity, convergent validity, and consensual validity. So I hope chapter 10 gives you a good overview of what these different methods are, and really the team approach and how we go about identifying children, evaluating children, um, and then also looking at assessment. Next, we would move on to how are we going to help the children with the different um, skills that they need to work on and improve. Hopefully, chapter 10 was a good one for your read, and we're just about done. So stay up with everything, and good luck in the next few weeks.